Andargachew Tsige, a brother, a father, a husband, a friend, a colleague, tortured in Ethiopia. You have done nothing. David Cameron. David Cameron. David Cameron. David Cameron. David Cameron. We are calling you. We are asking you. We are calling you to put pressure. To put pressure on the Ethiopian government. On the Ethiopian government. So that Andy will come to Britain. That's where he belongs. Despite the wave of brutality and injustice around the world, there are beacons of freedom and justice who stand up against injustice and tyranny. Andy from Islington is one of them. His cause is nothing different from what David Cameron or the government of Britain stands for. But unfortunately, this government decides and determines who it defends and who it abandons. Shame on you! 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 As we remember the 61st birthday of Andy, also known as Andargachew, a man from Islington, a father of three, who lived in the UK since 1979, that's most of his life, and who has been abducted while in transit. And what has the British government done about it? Not much. Sadly, not much. We have heard that the Foreign Secretary, the Minister for Africa, ministers here and there have been sternly talking to the Ethiopian authorities about the plight of this man who has been in captivity for nearly 600 days. I hate to take this. I hate to say this. Would this have happened if his name was John or David? I doubt it. I don't want to make this a question of color, but citizenship and citizenship rights and nationality is something that ought to be defended day in, day out, 24 hours of the day, whether you are at home or abroad. We see Helen Johnston abducted in Afghanistan. The British government pressed every button and every lever to find her and bring her to safety within 12 days. Andy in captivity by a nation that we, British nationals and the British government, basically bankroll to the tune of about £750 million a year in the name of aid that's used to underwrite repression. Andy in captivity, 600 days and still counting. And the British government have not done much about it. Shame on you! Shame on you!
We've just been across to Downing Street to hand in a letter to the Prime Minister asking the government to take serious action to ensure that Andy is released. And I've just tabled a motion to Parliament, which I will read to you now, if I may. The motion I've put to Parliament, and I'll read it to you. Mr. Tsige, who is a British citizen, was tried in absentia, sentenced to death, and later illegally removed from Yemen to Ethiopia, where he is now being held incommunicado at an undisclosed location. Acknowledges that only 2 British consular visits have been permitted. Is shocked that the Ethiopian government has refused requests by British parliamentarians, including his constituency MP, the Honourable Member for Islington North, to visit him. calls upon Her Majesty's government to put all possible pressure on the Ethiopian government to secure his immediate release. And that has been tabled today to Parliament. Thank you. The facts you all know very well. Andy has lived in the UK for a long time, has never given up on his hope for democracy, for freedom, and all the things that we all want for everywhere, and has campaigned for them, was tried in his absence, which is illegal in British and European law, was sentenced to death, which is illegal in British and European law, was hijacked from Yemen to Ethiopia, which is illegal in anybody's law. And when I challenged this at the Ethiopian embassy to say, by what process was he removed from Yemen, I was told, we don't need a process, they understand us. I'm sorry, when you take a prisoner from another jurisdiction, you need a legal process. There was none. There's been no extradition request to Britain. There couldn't be because he's under a death sentence in Ethiopia. So Lord Andarachew and myself went to the embassy last week, and with our passports and our visa applications all completed, and asked that we be granted visas in order to travel to Addis to visit Andy in prison later this week. We were told in no uncertain terms we would not be allowed to visit him in prison. We are reiterating that request, and I've now made a formal request that Clive Stafford-Smith, who's done such a fantastic job in reprieve, standing up for people who've been sentenced to death, be allowed now to go to Ethiopia to visit him. We're standing here today to stand up for justice and for human rights, and we'll stand here as long as it takes to get him out, to get his freedom, and to get the freedom for all others that are subject to arbitrary law and arbitrary detention in the way that Andy is at the present time. The future of any country is democracy. The future of any country is freedom of speech. The future of any country is the right to express and report on your views. The future of any country is an independent judicial system. I want all of those things for Ethiopia. Andy stands for all of those things, and I'm proud to represent him in the British Parliament. Thank you very much.
We want justice! 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 We want justice!
Bring Andy home! Bring Andy home! Bring Andy home! Bring Andy home! Bring Andy home!
Bring my father back.
Yes. What great kids! What a credit they are to Andy. What a credit they are to Yemi. What a credit they are to this country. To turn up at Downing Street and demand rights for their father, rights that should be available to all people from all countries. And this man is British, and he has been treated appallingly. And it is about time his human rights were recognised. He should be released. Release Andy now. Release Andy now. Release Andy now. Release Andy now. 600 days, and it is his birthday. This is the day he should be released.
I'm Catherine West, only MP for Hornsey and Wood Green, and I just wanted to say how worried we are in the Shadow Foreign Office team. I work with Jeremy's team trying to get a fairer world, and this is right at the top of our agenda. Jeremy and I went to see the Ethiopian minister when he visited here in October last year, and then we followed it up with a letter, and we didn't get a response. We followed up with another letter, and there's nothing like this sort of action to bring home why we do this, for fairer Britain, for a fairer world. And thank you to everybody who stood out here in the cold to support the family and to stand up for what's right and to try and get justice for Andy. And thank you to 38 Degrees and Reprieve and Emily, the constituency MP, and all the people, all the caseworkers who have written letters, and everyone who just keeps going and going and going. Mr. Hammond, who is the Foreign Office lead, our Foreign Secretary, has raised the issue 30 times with the Ethiopian government, but we still seek the justice, and we just need to keep going. We'll never give up. fighting for Andy. Happy birthday, Andy. We're all behind you. We're thinking of you. And we are trying to get the legal rights. We're trying to get Clive in to give legal advice. And we are all fighting together. So thank you for coming tonight. We will keep going in the Shadow Foreign Office team. And we'll never give up until we see justice. Thank you.
Yeah. Ready? We're going to sing happy birthday for Andy, everybody. You ready? Big voices. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andy. Happy birthday to you. And again, everybody, let's have bigger voices. Let's have bigger voices. David Cameron, are you listening? Here we go. Happy birthday to you.
Together.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andy. Happy birthday to you. One more for luck, everybody. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Andy. Happy birthday to you.
Hip hip.